Hey everyone, welcome into episode 2 of the TNS Energy Podcast. Today is a very big one. We are going to be discussing 2 major myths about residential solar. So let's get into it. Okay, so myth number 1, and it's really the biggest one, is that solar is free. That's been developed through numerous avenues, whether it's through advertising, sales reps who are not being, forthright and honest about what they're proposing to a homeowner. There's a lot of different reasons why this narrative has developed. Now, I will say that most people, especially where we work in Long Island, New York, they do understand that it's not free. They kind of understand how it works. But this is one of my biggest gripes with the industry, and it is the way the product is advertised. Because in reality, you don't have to lie about solar. I mean, it's a pretty good product. I mean, if you're paying $300 a month and you can go down to $175 and not put any money out of pocket, that's something that helps people, especially with the current state of the economy. But when you have these different advertising agencies and marketing companies coming out saying that solar's free, and if you just ask, the government has to give you free solar panels, and if you get a Tesla Powerwall, you're going to get a check for 10 grand from the government right in your bank. When you start seeing advertising like that, a homeowner can only think one thing, and is that the industry is sketchy, for lack of a better word, that there's something else going on behind the curtain that they're not privy to. So I can't take the advertising agencies. I think it's horrible. I'm in solar, so when I'm scrolling through social media, all I do is get advertisements with those voiceovers, or that one that's like, hey, if you live in the state of New York, all you have to do is ask and they'll give you free solar panels. It's through the government, all this different stuff. But the solar is free thing, I think, is pretty dead, but it is a huge stain on the industry when you have a lot of people saying that, hey, these guys are just scamming because they're telling you it's free and it's not free. So here's how it actually works. So what'll happen is, again, you have your electric bill, you have your usage. We take your usage, figure out what you're using over the course of a year. We figure out by asking the homeowner if there's any upgrades. You adding a pool, you adding an electric car, you adding a hot tub, whatever it may be. So if they're not doing that, we're going to take this usage at face value and say, okay, this is around their yearly usage. So now we need to get a solar system that's going to cover this. So we get a system, we design it, we get the right panel, the right inverter, all that good stuff, the right spots on the roof, which roof surfaces we should use. And then we propose that to the homeowner. So let's say their usage over the year had about a $250 average. What we'll do is we'll go to the homeowner with multiple options. We'll tell them which one we think is the best, which one we think is not the most optimal, and we'll show them the different monthly payments and the different out-of-pocket expenses. Now, if you're financing or leasing, there's likely no out-of-pocket expense whatsoever. If you are doing a cash system, that's a different story. Most people don't do that. Most people just like the bill swap. So a lot of times what'll happen is we'll have a homeowner and a family at $250 a month, and we'll show them a 25-year financing option with a pretty easy credit approval at $160 a month. We'll show them a lease if they don't have good credit or they don't have taxable income at $170 a month with a 2.9% escalator on it. Again, we'll veer them away from that, but in case it's their only option, we want to show it. Then we'll show them maybe a New York State program, which again is the best one, like we discussed last episode. We'll show them a New York State program, a 15-year program at $145 a month, but it's harder to get approved for. So we'll put these options in front of the homeowner, we'll figure out what their financial situation is, and then we'll go for the approval on which one we think is going to be the best chance of getting approved, which in Long Island, most people are usually good for the state program, but the denials are definitely increasing. But regardless, back to the point of this part of the podcast, the solar is free thing is such a stain on the industry. It is ridiculous. There's no reason to lie about saying, hey, if you're paying $250, I can get you to $140 a month. I don't need any money out of pocket. Like that is a very sellable thing to a homeowner, especially, homeowners who maybe are living paycheck to paycheck, or, with the groceries going up and the gas bills going up and everything getting more expensive, to be able to look at them and say, hey, we can take this essential cost that you have, electric, which you need no matter what, and we can cut it by 40% and lock it in so it can't go up. I don't think it's necessary to have to lie on advertisements, on cold calls, on whatever it is, telling people that the government is giving them solar panels. So myth number 1, and it is the biggest one, is that solar is free. It is absolutely not free. It saves you a boatload of money, but the government is not just handing out solar panels at no net cost. Okay, so this second one it's a much easier question, but it is a common misconception in the market about solar. Does solar panels work in the winter? And the short answer is yes, they're just not going to produce nearly as much in the summer and spring because the sun's only out 7-8 hours a day as opposed to, some days 14 hours. But regardless, they do work in the winter. Now, the PSEG or Con Edison net metering program is so crucial in New York because so let's backtrack a little bit. So your production, January to December, in the middle right here, your production is going to be way more than what you're using. So let's say you use 1,000 kilowatt hours in the summer, you're probably producing about 2,000 or 2,500 that same month. So what PSEG and Con Edison does is that they'll take that extra 1,000 kilowatt hours you produce for the grid, and they'll remember that. They'll keep it tracked. It's all being tracked by that smart meter on the side of your home. And then in January, where let's say you use 1,000 kilowatt hours, but you only produce 500, PSEG or Con Edison, whoever your electric provider is going to credit that back to you, and you're not going to get billed for it because you already produced it for the grid. So do solar panels work in the winter? Yes. Like in January, you can produce 500 kilowatt hours because the sun's out 6-7 hours a day, let's say. It's just not going to produce as much in the summer, but because of PSEG and Con Edison's net metering program, they're going to send back those credits you produce for the grid in July or August. They're going to send it to you in January when you need them, and you're not getting billed for it. So when we come in and say your system's going to produce 104%, what that means is by the end of the year, you're going to net out plus 4%. So if you use 10,000, you're going to produce 10,400, and it's going to, 8,000 might come in the summer, but when you need them in the winter, the electric provider is going to send it back for you, and again, you're not going to get billed for it. So do solar panels work in the winter? Yes, and it's not a reason to not go solar because you have these electric providers that are working with you to help you cover your entire electric bill for all 12 months out of the year. Okay, so that'll do it. Like I said, the first episode, we're going to try and keep these short and sweet. We just wanted to go over a couple of common myths in the residential solar industry, especially in Long Island. So if you're looking for more information on solar and if it's a fit for your home, website, phone number, give us a call, fill out our form on our website, and we'll reach out and we'll try and set up a consultation and see if you can qualify for one of these programs. Okay, see you next week.